Welcome everyone to the banks of Lake Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, the city of broad shoulders, the city that works. And inside the United Center, rabid USA basketball fans on hand to watch the homecoming of Derrick Rose. And another Chicago guy, Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans, but all thoughts, all hearts galvanized and united for Paul George, one of their fallen teammates. It's Brazil, USA next. And welcome to USA Basketball, presented by Nike tonight on Madison Street. There's basketball in August, and there has been a sense of anticipation for several weeks for this game between the USA and Brazil, ranked number 10 in the FIBA rankings. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, courtside, along with Fran Fraschilla. Bob Holtzman joining us shortly in just a moment. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since USA Basketball has reconvened since the horrific injury to Paul George and the subsequent departure of Kevin Durant, the NBA's MVP. Friend, the question begs now, where does that leave USA Basketball 2 weeks away from their first game of the World Cup of Basketball?
It changes the dynamics for sure. They'll be smaller and quicker, but remember, you're putting great players on the floor. Someone else must now step up. These two guys are hard to replace, except that Mike Krzyzewski will still have 12 NBA players on his roster.
An embarrassment of luxuries for the head coach. And when you talk about how this camp is feeling right now, training camp has been hard. They've gone at it harder than they usually have. And for more on the temperature of the crew, here's Bob Holtzman.
Well, Mark, I spent the last 3 days with the team. Mike Krzyzewski says these players are all in, and that's definitely the sense I got. But that was not the case just a couple of weeks ago. After Paul George broke his leg, these players went home, and a number of them told me they did reassess. Chandler Parsons said he not only spoke with his family, he talked with Mavericks owner Mark Cuban and head coach Rick Carlisle, said he thought about it for a couple days. After that, he said he came to the realization that having the chance to wear that USA across his chest, he couldn't pass it up. Mike Krzyzewski says they're all in. Jerry Colangelo tells me he doesn't think any more players are dropping out, and that's definitely the sense I got. Mark?
Well, Coach K and Jerry Colangelo, since taking over in 2005, have really brought a enduring spirit to USA Basketball. Well, Fran, there's a special night for a couple of Chicago guys. Coach K, Colangelo, and a couple of players, Rose and Anthony Davis. But right now we're going to go to mid-court and a special welcome, a greeting from a couple of star players, very familiar players from the NBA. One of them, Derrick Rose, and Anderson Varejão of Brazil.
Boa noite a todos. Representando a Seleção Brasileira de Basquete do Brasil, eu gostaria de agradecer a cidade de Chicago por estar recebendo a gente. Esperamos que vocês aproveitem o jogo hoje. On behalf of my teammates, I would like to thank you, Chicago, for hosting us. Please, enjoy the game.
On behalf of myself, my teammates, USA Basketball, and Brazil, we want to thank you all for coming out. And I personally want to thank USA Basketball for hosting this great event in this great city, because here, what's going on here is bigger than basketball. You got kids that's losing their life, and I hope that everybody recognizes it, and this is huge for the city. So thank you, the whole USA staff. Thank you.
A heartfelt message, a poignant one, for so many reasons from Derrick Rose. Well, let's take a look now at tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Nike. Huertas, Barbosa in the backcourt for Brazil. Marquinhos, Thiago Splitter of the world champion San Antonio Spurs, and Nene up front for the Brazilians, ranked number 10 in the world. Meanwhile, for the United States, Derrick Rose and Steph Curry in the backcourt. James Harden, Kenneth Faried, and Anthony Davis up front for the United States. And Fran, somewhat of a quote-unquote smallish look for USA?
Yes, and they're going with Kenneth Faried at the 4 spot because they feel he can guard the size of Splitter and Nene. But no question, Mark, the strength of this team now becomes the elite speed and scoring in the backcourt.
This is the first game in preparation for the FIBA World Cup. Their first game is going to be on August the 30th. There's a look at the series. Brazil leading 7-5 in World Cup competition. So you got to think that that goes back to a time when the United States used collegians as USA controls the tip. And the roar you hear for Derrick Rose.
Lots of ball movement, Mark, lots of pick and roll. They want to spread the floor with those shooters.
Here's Davis with the game's first attempt, a little bit off, and rebounded by Nene. Remember, they played a couple of years ago on the road to the Olympics, and Brazil led after the first quarter. This is a very experienced Brazilian team. A lot of these players well into their 30s. Here's Barbosa.
10 of these guys, Mark, played in the Olympics 2 years ago.
Barbosa off the mark and rebounded by Davis. How important that the United States play a fast-tempoed game?
I think it's going to be the strength of their team, Mark, because they've got shooting and size and quickness in that backcourt. Guys like this.
They're shooting. James Harden off. Faried, great hustle, but fouled by Nene on the attempt and put back. And Faried will go to the free throw line. That is what he's in there to do. A great offensive rebounder this year for the Denver Nuggets. Mike Krzyzewski with a 50-game winning streak coming into the game tonight against Brazil. That lone blemish of the 63 total games coming in the World Championships in 2006 against Greece. And Faried knocks down the first of 2. Roman Magnano, the head coach of the Brazilian side. Argentina people.
Yeah, that's like going from the Yankees to the Mets or from Man U to Man City.
That's a big tryst.
He's a tremendous coach. He was the architect of the golden generation of Argentina. Ginobili, Nocioni, Delfino.
His Argentina squad back in 2002, the first team to defeat the United States while using NBA players.
Pick and roll.
Marcelinho inside, Splitter with a nice roll to the basket, and we're tied at 2. You can see and sense the chemistry the Brazilians have already.
Well, they've already played 4 exhibition games, Mark. They've been in camp for about 3 weeks.
Faried on the drive, nice dump down to Davis.
I want to tell you now, Faried is not your classic international 4-man, but with the absence of guys like Kevin Love and Kevin Durant, Faried's energy will really help this team.
Friend, he's a guy that not many people may have thought about making this team when camp opened a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas.
Well, the first day we were at practice in Las Vegas, he was the Energizer Bunny.
There's Nene from the baseline. Played a couple of playoff games here against the Chicago Bulls.
See the running.
Curry, a sniper from downtown, knocks it down. Nobody made more three-pointers this year in the NBA than that guy right there, Steph Curry.
Well, 3 guys now on the perimeter that all can handle the ball, Mark, and you saw James Harden that time find Curry.
United States out to a 5-point lead. Remember, that FIBA three-point line is noticeably shorter than the NBA three-point strike.
That's good passing right there.
Another good dime inside, and Splitter with another uncontested dunk.
Now we talked about the experience, Mark. You're talking about guys that have played at a high level for a long time and together.
Curry turns it over. Here's Barbosa in transition against Rose. Well defended, but Barbosa gets the layup to go. The United States lead down to 1.
This is an important couple weeks for Barbosa because he's actually playing for a contract.
Harden wasn't ready for the pass. And the United States turns it over. Barbosa inside and tipped up and in. And that's part of the FIBA rule that you might not be familiar with. Once the ball hits, it is live, either the defense or offense, to knock it out.
Thiago Splitter's been playing this game for Brazil for a very long time. He was on the 2002 World Championship contending team at 17.
Faried with another offensive stick back end. Good.
High energy, Mark. You know, there's been so much speculation about who makes this club, who gets cut, but it's hard to cut a guy whose best skill, who's playing hard.
And we Go to the distance of the three-point line in FIBA. There's a look at some of the significant rule differences. Fran, which of those really jumps off the page at you?
I think the 4 10-minute quarters, because the game goes so quickly. You know, the Olympic team that USA put on the floor in London, they only had 3 guys play over 20 minutes a game. So you gotta, you know, Mike Krzyzewski will use his bench and he'll ask guys to play hard in spurts.
Good ball movement by the Brazilians. Barbosa can't cash in. And here come the United States. Curry. Stare down 3 and nothing but net. Steph Curry, actually that was a long 2. Shot 42% from downtown this year for the Golden State Warriors.
He was just a role player on that 2010 World Championship club in Istanbul. That's a walk.
That's going to be a travel against Splitter. Get one more look at that jumper by Curry, who I don't think he's missed a shot going back to Las Vegas. Yeah, foot on the line.
Now you don't go to the monitor. There are occasions in FIBA rules where you can go, but you can't go to the monitor nearly as often as you can in the NBA and in the college level.
And Rudy Gay checking into the ball game now for the United States in place of Fareed. Gay was called upon and answered the call from Jerry Colangelo to join the camp in wake of the injury to Paul George, and he comes here with a lot of FIBA experience going back to 2010. Frank.
Well, he does, Mark. We saw him at the practices, and he was just hanging out.
And he's ready.
Anthony Davis on that roll. Nice dime by James Harden. But you know what? Rudy Gay becomes that stretch 4-man that replaces you can't replace Kevin Durant's scoring or Paul George's athleticism, but a similar style of player at that 4 spot.
Hoping to be joined by Paul George at some point during the broadcast tonight. Rudy Gay, meanwhile, had a great year with the Sacramento Kings. He shot 48% from the field, averaged 20 points a game, and there's a look at his USA basketball career numbers and so much versatility that he adds to the lineup.
Well, that was one of those trades that, there you go. Nene's got to keep him off the glass. That was a trade, Mark, that really helped both teams. The Raptors went on a run, and Rudy Gay played probably the best basketball of his career over the last 55 games of the season.
USA leading by 3. Curry, step back, boy, he's feeling pretty good. And Fran, therein lies one of the understated parts of his game, his ability to handle, right?
Mark, I got a chance to work with Steph Curry this summer at the Under Armour Steph Curry Select Camp. The guy is a workout maniac. His ball handling is so much better than anybody realizes.
Huertas, Marcelinhos inside. And they turn it over. Harden in the open court, and that's something that you're going to see a lot in FIBA basketball. Opposing teams will try and tackle literally the United States players and stop the fast break. But you can't stop this, Fran.
No, that's exactly right. Separation for the step back.
Welcome back, everyone, to the United Center. Mark Jones along with Fran Frischel and Bob Holtzman. Fran, here's one more look at the foul, and it's called a 2-shot foul, right?
Exactly. Now, we're used to players fouling internationally to stop a fast break, but you must play the ball. And so, in that case, Marquinhos just reached in and grabbed Jersey. So USA will get 2 free throws and the ball at midcourt. There's a young man who played briefly for the Grizzlies and also the New Orleans Hornets.
Season with Memphis, 30 years old, averaged 14 points a game with Flamengo in the Brazilian league this year. And Harden at the free throw line, and for more on him, let's go courtside to Bob. Bob?
This may surprise you for a guy who's been criticized for his defense at times, but James Harden told me yesterday that he feels like his role on this team is to be the defensive stopper. He said there's plenty of scoring. I don't have to score. He's going to play the 3, which is out of position for him, and look for him to try and fill that role that Paul George was going to take, which is by shutting down the other team's best offensive player.
Yeah, Bob, he's been a very willing defender in training camp, and James Harden was a complimentary player on the 2012 team, Fran. What do you make of his role potentially with this crew this year?
Well, I think he still has to be the main scorer along with Steph Curry. I think you're going to see a lot of pick and roll like you see in Houston for him. And I think he's got to be the alpha dog offensively.
Rudy Gay with the launch and the miss. Kyrie Irving has checked into the ball game. Gay guarding Nene. Great hustle by Curry getting on the deck.
Look at that passing right there.
From his seat, Nene fouled and one.
This is what you get when, this is the danger now. Loose ball, and you had great hustle by Team USA, but a very clever passing Team Brazil, Thiago Splitter. And you'll see him do that during the season, Mark. When you are a pick and roll team, your big guys handle the ball so much that they get very adept at moving the ball, especially when you play in a situation like the Spurs, where ball movement is at a premium.
Klay Thompson checking into the ball game as James Harden will get a breather. Harden averages over 25 points a game this year for the Houston Rockets, one of the more prolific scorers this year in the NBA. And Nene now at the free throw line for Brazil, trying to complete the three-point play. They average 14 points a game this year for the Wizards. And welcome everyone to the United Center in Chicago. I'm Mark Jones courtside along with Fran Fraschilla and Bob Holtzman. The United States ranked number 1 in the FIBA World Rankings, taking on the 10th ranked Brazilians. And right now the United States leading 17-12 behind some hot shooting from Steph Curry. Curry with 7 points in the ball game to lead the way, as Anderson Varejão, the Cleveland Cavaliers, checking into the ball game now for Brazil.
Probably the happiest guy in Sao Paulo the day that LeBron James said he was coming home, right?
LeBron called him his favorite teammate. Marcelinho with the pass to Barbosa. Barbosa fouled by Curry. And Andrew Barbosa played 20 games this year for the Phoenix Suns. And the United States reconvening for the first time in about 2 weeks since the injury to Paul George, who we hope to speak with a little bit later in the show. And since the departure of Kevin Durant, the reigning MVP in the NBA, citing fatigue, both physical and emotional. And Rudy Gay subsequently joining the team. And Rudy Gay already having an impact here as James Harden gets set to check back into the ball game. And this team right now about 2 weeks away from its first game, August 30th, against Finland in the inaugural FIBA World Cup. Where do you think it leaves this team in its mood right now?
Well, you know, the simple fact is they're not going to be tested in pool play. They're in the weakest pool of the 4 pools, 24 teams in the World Championships. What they're doing right now, these exhibition games, these friendlies, is just trying to figure out role delineation, how much guys can play, how good a shape they're in.
Great block by Rudy Gay. He's obviously in good shape. Turnover by Brazil. USA on the run. Thompson on the move. Lobs up. Davis with the punch. Oh, he caught a body that time.
Nice find by Klay Thompson. One of those guys that, you know, you hear, you read the blogs, he's going to get cut. You know what? This guy is a defender. He's a scorer. I think he'll be a great teammate, great role player in Spain.
Splitter inside. He's been a force so far. This time gets ripped. The United States pushing again. Here's Thompson.
Oh, man,
what a tip by Anthony Davis. The Chicago kid making a homecoming and having an impact.
Wow, wait till you see this again, Mark. Watch him come out of nowhere with his left hand.
Anthony Davis expecting a larger role on this team this year. United States with an 8-point lead on a nice roll offensively right now, led by Anthony Davis, and doing it rebounding and scoring, Fran.
Well, Kevin Durant said that Anthony Davis may be the next great player in the NBA. You see that 6'10" running the floor, and then watch where he comes from, Mark, on this shot by Klay Thompson. He's on the baseline. Watch the left hand in the tip. Great energy right there.
It was interesting in speaking with him back in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. He said, Mark, I knew I had to mature a little bit faster when Kevin Love said that he wasn't going to be with the team this year, and then that learning curve sped up even more with the departure of Paul George and Kevin Durant. Now off the steal, Kyrie Irving with the layup.
Little full court pressure right there. Sloppy play by Huertas.
United States lead swelling to 10. Under 3 minutes to go here in the first quarter.
Look
Remember,
at Kyrie.
Phoebe played 10-minute periods. Irving with the dime to Plumlee.
You remember what David Black, the new coach of the Cavs, told us, Mark, in Vegas? He watched Kyrie Irving defend for 5 minutes, and he said, who said he can't guard?
He rips another Brazil guard. Huertas turned it over. And boy, they are wilting under USA pressure defensively, Frank.
Mark, when you have a 40-minute game and you have the depth in the backcourt that USA has, you can throw Kyrie Irving out there for 4 minutes and just tell him to be a pit bull, and that's what he's showing you right now.
Derrick Rose getting a breather on the bench. The United States leading by 12. Neto in the ball game now for Brazil, one of the younger players on this team.
Raulzinho got a chance to coach this young man at the Reebok Euro camp when he was a youngster. 18, 19 years old, playing in Spain now.
Varejao on the drive by Plumlee. Anderson Varejao will go to the free throw line to shoot a pair. Former NBA All-Defensive Team member a couple of years ago. Affectionately known as the Wild Thing on the flats in Cleveland. Had a chance to visit with LeBron, he said, in Brazil during the recent World Cup, and he's got a pretty good new teammate.
Yes, he does. How about this? Varejao and Splitter were on the 2002 World Championship team. Now think about that, Mark. Splitter was 17, Varejao 19 at the time, back in Indianapolis.
Really kind of underscores the contrasting continuity between the various countries in the United States. It really underscores the great job that Coach Krzyzewski and Jerry Colangelo do collectively to put guys together quickly and have very good chemistry enough to win goals.
Yeah, and they have a pool now of, you know, somewhere between 15 and 25 guys.
Klay Thompson with the trigger. Plumlee with the follow. Frank, we haven't talked about it yet. What about the situation with the bigs? You got Plumlee, DeMarcus Cousins, who won't be playing tonight because of a knee injury he suffered in practice a couple of days ago. You have Andre Drummond of the Pistons as well.
Remember what we saw in Las Vegas? Plumlee was on the select team with young players.
Great block by Fareed, but Splitter followed it up.
And they moved him from the select team to the national team with the thought process that they needed 20 guys to practice. And he was so impressive, Mark, that there's talk that he could make this team as a defensive type stopper. Now, those DeMarcus Cousins fans don't want to hear that because obviously DeMarcus wants to make this team.
Harden on the drive, fouled on the play by Hetzmeyer. It's actually Hetzmeyer with the last tip in for Brazil. There's a look at DeMarcus Cousins on the bench. Cousins put up some great stats this year for the Sacramento Kings. And, you know, a lot of people talk about the fact that at times he has been temperamental in the past and the technical fouls. He has matured quite a bit this year under the tutelage of Shaquille O'Neal, now a minority owner for the Sacramento Kings. Here's a look at the upcoming USA Basketball National Team schedule presented by Jeep. August 18th, Fran, you'll be there. Hoops for Troops. Great scene coming up at West Point. Then on the 20th, they'll take on the Dominican Republic, followed by a game against Puerto Rico on the 22nd, and then Slovenia on the 26th, and then the first game on the 30th.
Well, listen, DeMarcus Cousins has tried hard in practice when he's been healthy, and he wants to make this team. He is a dominant offensive player, Mark. And again, in short bursts in a 40-minute game, I wouldn't be shocked to see him make this roster because you need a guy like him to guard Brazil, guard Gasol, Ibaka, and some of those bigs on Spain.
Coach Malone this year with the Kings has made Cousins a lot more accountable this year, and it's really paid off.
I think the key for Cousins and Rudy Gay is they got to win.
Harden with the miss. United States leading by 14 here in the first quarter. And otherwise a pretty fluid first quarter offensively, at least for the United States. Would you say, Fred?
I think they used their quickness, you know, in their pressure defense out in an outstanding way.
Larry Taylor had his jumper blocked. Varejao with the good hustle in the loose ball. There's a 1 second difference as Garcia pulls the quick trigger. And now the United States with a chance for one shot.
You think Larry Taylor's nervous?
Yeah, he's from Chicago.
He's from Chicago. He's a naturalized Brazilian player, but he played at Missouri Western in the MIAA Division II League.
Here's Harden out top and a foul to give as Taylor uses it on Harden. Larry Taylor telling me that Brazil's practice yesterday He's like, Mark, I got to pull up 20 tickets. I had to find 20 tickets. I had to buy a bunch of tickets, he said, for some of his friends and family members here at the game today. His dad, Larry Sr., his mom, Iris, in attendance behind the Brazil bench. 3 seconds to go. Harden out top with a cross. It'll count. And off the mark, but a pretty good first quarter for the United States as they shoot almost 67% from the field. Back with the second period right after this.
ESPN's presentation of USA Basketball is presented by Nike KD7, the baddest. And in part by the Jeep Altitude Edition lineup, the official vehicles of USA Basketball. And the new Samsung Galaxy S5. The next big thing is here.
Welcome back, everyone, to the United Center. The United States leading Brazil, the #1 team in the FIBA rankings. USA against number 10, Brazil. And joining us right now on the phone of the Indiana Pacers, Paul George, an all-NBA performer who suffered a horrific injury a couple of weeks ago. Paul, thanks a lot for joining us. First of all, there's been a lot said in the wake of your injury. What are your thoughts on being with USA Basketball post your injury when you get well?
You know what? I mean, I would love to continue to, still be a part of Team USA. The way Coach Colangelo, Coach K, really reached out to me, supported my family, supported me. It was a real family, you know what I mean? And it's always great to, represent your country.
Right. Paul, what kind of timetable have they given you in terms of how long it's going to take for you to actually get back on the court?
Well, you know what? We really ain't at that stage yet. We're just taking it day by day right now. And, pretty soon I'll be able to, kind of get back in action, lifting and stuff like that. But as far as, being healthy and fully back, we don't really have a timetable for it.
Hey, Paul, you said yesterday that you're going to be on that 2016 Olympic team. How will you use the thought of that as motivation to get back?
Well, it's just, for one, it's just putting what happened away. I understand, injuries happen and it's part of the game. So I won't be thinking about that at all. And it's just, just growing. I'll be a lot older, a lot mature, a lot wiser in this league. And, I look like I'll be looking to, make an impact as soon as I can.
Paul, there definitely is a distinct brotherhood amongst USA Basketball, and never was it more evident than the warm-up shirts that the guys wore with the PG written on it when they came out for warm-ups today. What are your thoughts? What were you thinking when you saw that?
Oh, man, it's, I'm sure Coach K and Mr. Colangelo had a lot to do with that. I'm just very thankful, man. It's a real brotherhood. A couple of guys sent me pictures before the game wearing the shirt and, just telling me, I'm out there, with them. So, it's just a great gesture by, everybody a part of the whole, USA organization, man, and I'm just happy to be a part of those guys.
In the time that you were in camp, Paul, and playing, what was the one takeaway that you had from a basketball standpoint about FIBA basketball?
Say that again?
In the time that you spent with the team this summer, what was the one major takeaway that you had from a basketball standpoint about international basketball and USA Basketball?
I think just the connections with the guys. It really brings you guys closer and brings the guys closer. It really, everybody's there to elevate one another's game. And, that's just awesome, man. It's a great environment. Coach K, puts us in a great environment to just learn the game. And at the same time, we're doing it for a great cause, and that's representing our country. So that was something I took away for it, and, the reason why I would love to continue to be a part of it.
Hey, your guys are up by 11 points right now. Actually, make it 9 points. What do you make of the way they're playing offensively and defensively? Put your color analyst hat on and tell us what you think so far as Rose missed the layup.
I think they look good, man, for everybody doubting us not being a heavy offensive team with the guys we have. I mean, I think they're wrong. We're looking good out there. We still have that explosiveness. We're still fast. We still got great scores. I know those guys are going to go out there and do a great job for us.
Paul, one of the enduring things I remember from training camp was you, James Harden, and KD playing one-on-one after practice. A lot of people were just blown away to see you guys go at it. What was that like?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. actually, leading up to camp, KD was hitting me up about, playing one-on-ones and making each other better. So, we had the chance to do it after practice. James came over. James wanted to be a part of it. We have to kind of get to the next level, and, at the end of the day, it's all about getting better. And, it was just a great company to be able to play one-on-ones with.
Yeah, you guys should have charged money for those King of the Hill games. They were pretty exciting. Hey, Paul,
Yeah.
we want to thank you for joining us under the circumstances, and all of us at ESPN and across the basketball family worldwide want to wish you a speedy recovery and get well soon. We look forward to seeing you back on the court soon. And I got a great fishing spot for you down in South Florida when you're ready, too, okay?
Sounds good. I just want to say thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the fans. I appreciate your support.
You got it, Paul. Get well. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Paul George of the Pacers, all NBA this year. And, friend, it was a cataclysmic moment. And in a sense, it was the end of a run for USA Basketball with respect to good health, quote unquote. It's the first time that they've had this type of injury with NBA players being involved.
Yeah, and Mark, you know better than anybody. We've watched this forever. Basketball is about it's reality TV. It's about how you handle adversity, and Paul George has certainly done an unbelievable job in that regard. And it changes things a little bit for USA, but doesn't mean they don't put great players on the floor.
Wow, Anthony Davis traveled. That's about as spectacular a travel as you're going to see, though.
Right
7-point ball game, friend, and Brazil has crept back into this.
Yeah, right now what you're seeing from Team USA is trying to hit the home run, trying to be a little bit too flashy, and Brazil taking advantage. And
Derrick Rose just got cut, actually. And he's going to go to the sidelines. And they are going to patch him up. With 6:41 to go in the first half, USA leading by 7 from the United Center. Clawing its way back into the game, down by 7. They turn it over here. Curry, Irving, Harden, Davis, and Chandler Parsons in the ball game for USA. Here's Irving. That's a blow-by in every sense of the word.
Well, what you've seen from USA the last 2, 3, 4 minutes, Mark, out of their offense, a lot of isolation, one-on-one, trying to hit that, as I said, trying to make that spectacular play. And this is still a friendly match. You're not going to be able to do that when you get to playing serious basketball.
Nice soft touch, and the jumper good by Hetzmeyer. He's got 7 points in the ball game. Brazil down by 7.
He's a good young Brazilian big guy. He wasn't drafted.
A lot of veterans on this Brazilian team. Marquinhos with the missed layup and a foul on the putback attempt. That's going to be against the United States. Meanwhile, Derrick Rose getting cleaned up on the sidelines. Looks like he caught an elbow above his eye. And that foul is going to go against Kyrie Irving, his 3rd personal foul.
Brazil, Mark, has 6 guys who are currently or have played in the NBA, including guys like Garcia and Vinicius.
And Derrick Rose is going to go into the locker room and get cleaned up. Remember, this is just his 6th home game in 2 years. He played 10 games this past season. He's only played 10 games in the last 2 years, 49 over the last 3 because of various knee injuries. And Derrick Rose was all the talk heading into the game from the north side to the south side and all points in between here in Chicago.
You and I did this USA-Brazil game in Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, where Brazil led for much of that game, as you recall. Marcelinho, the point guard, was outstanding, as you pointed out earlier. And in 2010, it took a missed free throw by Marquinhos.
Nice feed inside. Irving, the and one, and Kenneth Faried is really having an impact in this game with his determination, and well, you watch him in practice, and he is as assiduous as they come when it comes to working.
Exactly.
In detail.
You know, you don't have to be clairvoyant, Mark, to figure out what he could mean to this team in terms of his energy. I mean, you're talking about one of the, you know, not only is he a great rebounder, people forget the second half of last year, he became a very effective scorer in the lane.
Nice feed to Nene, and he finishes. Nene of the Washington Wizards.
See, one of the reasons Huertas is not in the NBA is he's been blown by a number of times, but on offense he's excellent.
Davis couldn't finish. Fareed missed the tip. And here comes Brazil in transition, down by 6. Barbosa couldn't get by Curry. Well defended, but knocked down the shot. Lead back down to 4 with under 5 minutes to go. Barbosa has 5 in the ball game. Still looking for a contract. Thompson from downtown. Davis with the rebound. That's part of his game that he has improved this year, that mid-range jump shot.
Well, that's where he does most of his scoring for the Pelicans, you know, right in that foul line high post area. I like the Pelicans this year with Ashik coming aboard to play center.
And Monty Williams on the coaching staff, and Splitter with a nice move against Davis. And this is a 2-point game. Thiago Splitter, the first Brazilian to win an NBA championship. Actually had a Larry O'Brien trophy touring through Brazil for a few days. He was telling me he had a good time with it. 18-6 Brazil run. Here's Thompson on the drive. Couldn't finish over Nene, but a blocking foul called against Brazil. Time out on the floor. A tenuous 2-point lead for the Americans when we return to Chicago. Welcome back, everyone, to the United Center. Mark Jones along with Fran Fraschilla and Bob Holtzman. 2-point ball game, and Derrick Rose of the Chicago Bulls getting tended to by the athletic training staff. And there's a look at where he may have gotten nicked, Fran, in the face. It was right after that he had to go to the bench, and looked like he had a little cut above his left eye.
The one thing we've seen from Derrick Rose in training camp is his fearlessness. His want to attack the rim and play aggressively, and got hurt that time doing exactly that.
Right now Klay Thompson going to the foul line, an 80% free throw shooter this year for the Golden State Warriors. And one of the best catch and shoot players statistically when you look at the analytics in the NBA this season.
And you watched a lot of playoff games this year. You know that he guarded the likes of Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, Jamal Crawford.
Fran, how important is it to be a good, quote-unquote, catch-and-shoot guy in FIBA basketball?
Well, with this team, with the driving and kicking ability, it's critical. When you got a guy like Kyrie Irving that can get into the lane, it's going to make guys like Kyle Korver and Steph Curry, Klay Thompson that much more important.
A whistle and a foul called against the United States. We have yet to see Kyle Korver. He hasn't gotten into the ball game. Korver, the top 3-point shooter this year in the NBA at 47%. Actually had a streak of 127 consecutive games, Fran, where he made a 3-pointer. I feel badly because I did the game when the streak came to an end in Portland.
You jinxed him.
Yeah, he let me know about it, too.
The announcers jinxed. Little zone right here, 2-3 zone.
Nene inside, fouled. As Plumlee and...
Let me be honest. When you play zone against the top couple of teams in this tournament, I don't care if Jim Boeheim's zone or not. They move the ball so well, Mark, and Team USA not used to playing the kind of zone that Syracuse plays.
One of the adjustments of FIBA basketball.
Spain, Brazil, you're not zoning those guys. Right on cue.
Now Korver getting ready to check into the ball game.
How about that, former Chicago Bull?
Get a nice ovation here when his name was announced during the lineups earlier tonight.
You know, if he makes this team, he's going to have a busy month of September, isn't he?
Yes.
When he gets back on the 15th of September.
He and his wife,
Juliet,
having a baby.
Expecting number 2.
Well, drivers fight for the crucial win as the race, the all-new chase, nears its dramatic conclusion. 43 drivers battle, 16 advanced, 6 races to go. And NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Pure Michigan 400, noon Eastern on ESPN. And they only 3 of 9. Actually, Brazil 3 of 9 from the free throw line. About 3.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Barbosa all up on Corver. Here's Fareed. And rebounded by the Brazilians.
You see, Fareed's game is near the rim. That right-hand jump hook is really outstanding. I don't think Brazil minded that jump shot. I haven't seen any offensive continuity in the half court from USA. They've done their damage in transition and off those spaced out drives.
Good defense by Corver, and he forces the travel. Fran, you bring up a good point, not seeing much offensive continuity. How does Coach K balance not calling plays and letting these guys flow and play freely as opposed to
he's
calling sets?
62-1.
Okay.
And because you have elite offensive talent and guys that are willing to share the ball, but they've got some sets in, Mark, but it's not like they need to run a million plays. Very simple NBA type sets. There's a pin down.
Curry missing the deep shot, and Fareed with another great hustle play and a rebound for USA.
That's why he'll make the team.
Thompson on the drive, got swallowed, but found Plumlee underneath.
That's why he might make the team.
Plumlee right there for the easy bucket. The lead back up to 6. He had a great year with the Brooklyn Nets this year, being mentored by the likes of Paul Pierce and especially Kevin Garnett.
Oh, nice pass.
Splitter turn it over. There's Curry in transition. Stopped by Nene. And Corver misses first 3 ball. You could feel the crowd willing that to go in. Barbosa had it tipped out of bounds. It'll stay Brazil basketball. 6-point ball game, 2:13 to go. Andrew Barbosa, first while of the Phoenix Suns as James Harden gets set to check back into the ball game for the United States. Been a quiet night so far for Harden offensively with just 4 points.
You know, this is a team, Mark, that has not had many practices. Coach K talked about the intensity of the practice they've had, but Brazil, Spain's been in training camp and have played, I think, 4 games since about the 3rd week of July.
Splitter kicks it back out. Long jumper short, and rebounded by Fareed. Here's Harden.
Oh, he got the lob, but he missed it.
Harden fouled and will go to the free throw line. He was one of the NBA leaders in free throw attempts this year. People around the world will get to know you got to fear the beard. Coming to you from H-Town. United States leading 39-33, and a look at 3 USA basketball legends. Tim Hardaway, who won a gold in 2000, Steve Smith in 1994 when the World Championships were held in Toronto, and Mitch Richmond as well, a part of USA basketball. Richmond recently inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. For more on Derrick Rose, let's go to Bob. Bob, what do you know?
Well, Mark, I just talked to Derrick Rose. You can see him there on the bench. He just has a cut over his eye. That's it. He said it wouldn't stop bleeding. They talked about stitching it up, but decided not to, and he said he will be coming back into the game.
All right, Bob, I think the fans here in Chicago would like to see that too.
After what Derrick Rose has been through for 2 years, he's not coming out of this game once he gets a chance to get back in.
He talked about using this opportunity to become a more vocal leader and to do this a little bit differently than he did the first time from his first serious knee injury comeback, when he felt he forced things a little bit too much, letting the game come to him a little bit more and let it flow.
By the way, that 2010 team that he was on, you look at the likes of Kevin Love, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, D. Rose, all had great seasons the next year. One of the things about playing against the best in the summer is that you improve. I understand why Kevin Love's not playing and Kevin Durant wants to take some time off, but if you do play in the summer against these guys, you will get better.
The ball movement by Brazil, 7 on the shot clock. Well defended by the United States. Rudy Gay, a little bit of a mismatch here against Splitter. Splitter, tough shot, rebounded by Gay. And here comes Curry.
Good example right there of Rudy Gay holding his ground against a guy who's not really a scorer in Splitter.
Steph Curry looked at the official, not going to get the call. That's FIBA basketball and FIBA officiating sometimes, friend. You've seen more of it than me. Splitter on the drive. Iago Splitter, a key component in San Antonio's championship run this year. He's got 10.
He's been in pick and roll so often and played with the ball away from the basket, Mark, that he's good at that. Not great, but good enough Take a look right now. Guys like Nene and Splitter, especially with the Spurs, you see right here the fake handoff, and he's used to being in space a little bit. Not bad for 6'10" and about, what, 250.
Splitter last year signed a very lucrative free agent contract to remain a part of the Spurs. There's Nene back with the national side for the first time in a long time. 6 on the shot clock. Barbosa with a deep 3. Up to Harden, tipped away nicely by Huertas.
And Steph Curry's been a little sloppy tonight with his passing.
Barbosa, he loses the handle, sloppy at both ends. And a 2-on-1 for the United States. Harden got fouled by Nene and went down. Almost looked like he turned his ankle over a little bit. That's going to be the 3rd foul on Nene.
That was a strategic foul by Nene right there. He did play the ball. Unlike that foul by Marquinhos earlier, which was ruled intentional.
James Harden shot 87% from the foul line this year with the Houston Rockets. Houston eliminated in the playoffs in the first round by the Portland Trailblazers on that ESPY-nominated shot by Damian Lillard. Well, ESPN brings you coverage of the USA Basketball practice live from West Point. Fran, you're going to be there Monday at 2 o'clock on ESPN2. And with Coach K, there is always a military presence, and it's something that always benefits the team en masse, doesn't it?
Selfless service, representing your country, whether it's the military, whether it's USA Basketball. Coach K going home to his alma mater, West Point.
The United States leading Brazil 43-35 with 24.2 to go here in the first half. James Harden going to go to the foul line for the United States. Brazil, the 10th ranked team, and think about one of the real seminal moments in international basketball. Unfortunately, friend, I think about Oscar in Indianapolis in the Pan Am Games that one year, shooting down Denny Crum's USA-led squad.
College guys.
Yeah.
Oscar, the all-time leading scorer, I think, in the history of basketball. I think it was like 50,000 points, Mark. It could have been a little bit higher, but it's in that range.
Brazil with possession here. Good pressure by Klay Thompson. That's going to be a foul, a little overzealous.
Now, that's only the 14th foul, so it's actually fairly strategic. But now USA will be in the bonus. And Klay Thompson, we talked about, wanting to take on that role as the defender out front.
High ball screen. Game clock and shot clock are almost in sync. Nene on the roll to the bucket. And he's fouled by Curry before the shot.
That was very good patience by Huertas, who came off the ball screen. And he just eyebrowed Nene to the rim, like, keep going, I'll get it to you. Poor rotation by Team USA from the weak side.
Nene going to go to the foul line. Brazil has struggled from the stripe in the ball game, and the applause you hear is for Derrick Rose coming back into the ball game. They can't get enough Derrick Rose here in Chicago. It has been a long time between drinks of water. Played just 10 games in the last 2 years due to a couple of knee injuries. Nene at the free throw line. And he knocks down the first. It's interesting. Nene was telling me that part of his off-season routine was not touching a basketball for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then he did some MMA training to get back into shape before the national team got together.
When you play as long a season as he does, sometimes getting away from it, I think that's healthy sometimes.
I think MMA training gets you ready for FIBA.
It does, more so the NBA. Now you got 5 seconds here, Mark, 4.6. So D. Rose going to try to go wing to the court. Watch the white jersey, just try to corral him. Watch see Giovannone.
He has some kind of different speed, though.
Ain't
That's
working.
Derrick Rose.
Ain't working.
Back in kind, responding here in Chicago with time to spare.
Well,
that looked like Usain Bolt with a basketball.
Well, they tried to slow him down, but Giovannone had no shot. Take a look. They're going to force him to his left hand. Watch him. You got the count now. Oh, you got no chance.
Television really doesn't do justice to that guy's speed. And Bob Holtz fast enough to catch up to him. Bob Holtzman.
Well, Derek, first tell me what happened to your head.
got hit going to the lane or something like that. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but just had to get a couple of strips, and I'm fine.
Coach put you back in there with 4.6 seconds left. Obviously, the plan was to have happen what happened.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
He didn't even give me a chance to warm up, but it is what it is. He has confidence in me. He gave me the ball, told me just rush it down the corner and shoot a good shot, and we got a good shot off.
What's it like for you to be back here on this floor, full speed?
Man, come on, man. Being here, the environment, just the atmosphere is great, man. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks, Derek.
Derrick Rose, homegrown, playing for the hometown team and giving the home fans his time and his skills. What a night so far for Derrick Rose. USA by 8 when we come back. Friendly. And they were about 2 weeks away from their first game in the inaugural FIBA World Cup, August 30th against Finland. They will be featuring, of all people, Drew Gooden, we're told.
Yep, Eric Murphy as well. Both of their moms of Finnish descent.
Knockdown jump shot on the baseline from Anthony Davis, who's been watching a lot of video of Dirk Nowitzki, he tells me.
You know what? It's funny you say that because when you watch Pelicans all year, he operates in that high post area, very similar to the way Rick Carlisle uses Dirk.
Barbosa missing the layup. The United States out and running. Here's Rose.
See, you don't need that. And I know they're trying to make the home run play, but keep it simple. Hit singles. Don't try to hit triples and homers right now.
Here's Fareed over splitter. Boy, he has made a great impact tonight.
Well, Mark, there's that right-hand jump hook we talked about. That became a real weapon for Kenneth Fareed second half of the year.
In the month of March, he was as good as anybody in the NBA from a scoring and rebounding standpoint. Knocked the ball loose there, comes up with the steal. He is a picture of activity, and it leads to a layup by Curry at the other end. Fareed started it, though, defensively, Fran.
Well, you know, in training camp in Las Vegas, that was one thing Coach K talked about. His energy is noticeable right from the very start of practice.
Huertas on the drive, the floater good.
He's got that shot down. He's sort of the Steve Nash of European basketball.
There's a foul as Rose drove to the bucket, fouled by Splitter. Let's take a look at who's on the floor, brought to you by Nike. Huertas, Barbosa, Garcia, Splitter, and Andy Varejao of the Cleveland Cavaliers on the floor for Brazil. And Rose, Curry, Harden, Kenneth Fareed, and Anthony Davis. Those are the 5 guys that started the night for the United States. How soon do you think it is before Coach K actually decides on a starting lineup, or do you have to make those 4 cuts first?
Well, I don't think it, you know, the cuts are going to be made. I don't think it matters. I think tonight they went with the bigger lineup because of the size of Brazil, and they'll be able to play small at times. Rudy Gay's going to play the 4. There's possibilities, Mark, that Parsons and Korver could play the 4. It's only going to matter a couple of times during the World Cup, particularly against Spain, maybe Lithuania, and certainly Brazil because of their size.
Nice feed inside to Varejao. An extra pass. Boy, somebody's in there a long time. And Splitter gets the layup. He has been a handful with 12 points now for Brazil. The lead down to 12 with under 8 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
You think about Varejao and Splitter, we talked about it. They've been together 12 years on the international stage playing together.
Davis stepping out and knocking down another mid-range jump shot.
You know, Mark, in the Final Four, when he was a freshman at Kentucky, Splitter operated inside, can't do it. But he hit a left-handed jump hook and a right-handed jump hook in the Final Four in like a quick sequence. I don't understand where people ever thought that he wasn't skilled, Anthony Davis.
Off the Harden turnover, Huertas in transition. He drops a dime to Varejao for a nice layup.
That's what they do. Huertas. Hey, you know where he played his senior year of high school, right?
Somewhere in your neighborhood, right?
He played at Capel High School in Dallas, Texas.
And Fareed fouled on the play.
Watch the bigs, Mark. Take a look now. They're very, very good. There's that. We talked about how good Splitter is in pick and roll as far as moving the ball. You saw it right there. And for Huertas, a guy that is one of the best guards in Europe, and a guy that Team USA very familiar with. We saw it back in 2012. What, 11 points, 13 assists?
13 assists in that game, and played for Barcelona, one of the top teams in the EuroLeague. Fareed, meanwhile, at the foul line, missing the first of two. Kenneth Faried, a 65% free throw shooter this year for the Denver Nuggets. You know, Brian Shaw, his head coach, frequently sits down and talks to him, tells him stories about Dennis Rodman and his days playing with Dennis Rodman when he was with the Los Angeles Lakers. Faried's favorite player, thus Dennis Rodman, of course.
15 years from now, Brian Shaw's going to be telling some young big guy that you want to play like Kenneth Faried did.
12-point lead. Barbosa fouled by Curry. That's going to be Curry's third personal foul. You know, you look at the numbers, the United States just 1 for 8 from downtown, Fran, in the first half. An anomaly because we look at the last Olympics in 2012, the United States was by far the best three-point shooting team, shooting about 49%. The next closest team was about 6 or 7% behind them.
Well, you had Kevin Durant and his 34 threes, I think, in Olympic play that year, certainly leading the charge.
That's going to be the fourth foul on Steph Curry. Remember, in FIBA basketball, 5 and you got to sit. So Klay Thompson comes into the ball game. United States leading by 12. One Golden State Warrior subbing in for another.
You know, I think Kyle Korver's going to make this team, and we haven't seen very much of him
Why is
tonight.
that?
You know what? Because you can wake him up at 3 in the morning in a dead sleep, and he'll come out and make 4 threes in a row.
Speaking of threes, Nato knocks one down. So the lead is down to 9.
Plus, I think he's a great guy to have on your bench, but his outside shooting, I believe, will be a factor before it's all said and done.
Rose missing that little teardrop floater. And Harden with the steal. Rose ran into him, knocked it loose, and here's Rudy Gay. You know, it says a lot about a guy to answer the call when your country calls. And Rudy Gay, in wake of that Paul George injury, Harden with the floater, didn't think twice about, you know, putting a uniform on.
I think it's great for him. You know, and we talked about how well he finished his season in Sacramento. And we just opted into a $19 million deal. He's playing for a contract next season, certainly. And he's valuable.
Varejao on the drive through the defense.
You notice how good Varejao and Splitter are at the foul line? You know, you come off that ball screen, you pop, you get it back there, and they have done this thousands of times.
There's Gay from downtown. Chance to cut this down to 7. Both a nice in and out move and drives by for the layup.
Seen that before?
Yep, a million times with the Suns and Raptors and Celtics. Barbosa, an available free agent. A 9-2 run now for Brazil as Plumlee gets set to come in. Thompson off the screen. A nice floater in the lane, good.
A simple little pin down, curl into the lane. Klay Thompson was mentioned in some of those trade talks for Kevin Love. Warriors didn't pull the trigger.
You can understand why when you watch him play. Varejao with the high ball screen. Nato. They turn it over. Gay on the break, fouled by Hetzenheimer. 4:57 to go in the third quarter. The United States leading by 9, trying to work out some wrinkles when we come back. Well, back in 2010, Kevin Durant was voted the most outstanding player of the FIBA World Championship as the United States went undefeated 9-0 on its way to gold, doing the same again in 2012. Leading the United States in scoring, shooting right around 52% from downtown. And this year, the reigning MVP. Look at the numbers that he has piled up over the last several years. Jerry Colangelo pointing out that he's been in the program for the last 7 years, friend. You can understand him being fatigued, right?
Well, here's what he's done. The last 5 years, he's played almost 99% of the Thunder's regular season games, not including playoffs, USA basketball, Rudy Gay in that follow.
Wow.
And you know what, Mark? I wish he would have done it a little bit earlier, like before training camp, but I understand completely. Kevin Durant's given his heart and soul to Team USA, and this is a situation where I don't have as big a problem with that as maybe some other people.
Bob Holtzman standing by with a little bit more. Bob?
Well, Mark, you guys have talked a lot tonight about the American offense looking disjointed at times. Kevin Durant's a big reason why. Mike Krzyzewski said this week they spent a whole camp in Las Vegas building what they were doing around him offensively. He was supposed to be the focal point, and Krzyzewski says without Durant, the offense changes immensely. So they're still trying to find their way in their first game without Durant on the floor.
And it says a lot that, you know, in a team filled with NBA players, several All-Stars, that it's affected by Durant's absence that much still.
Well, Bob's exactly right. You know, in 2010, he was by far the best player in the World Championship. Sloppy play there.
But Thompson turns it over. The lead still at 12. Barbosa on the move.
When you talk about Kevin Durant, you're talking about an unguardable player at the FIBA level. That's like Clayton Kershaw, you know, for the Dodgers, honestly. I mean, he's just a guy you can't stop.
Neto probing the lane. Verjao with 4 on the shot clock. They got to get to work quickly. Neto knocks down the 3.
Hey, 4 years ago, we watched this young guy. I think he was 19. Yeah. He looked like a deer. You know, he had the deer in the headlights look. Tonight, he's been very effective. He's a good young player. The Jazz have his rights. Just don't have room for him right now. Look at that.
Yeah, he's not guarding Derrick Rose, though.
No, he's not. No one is right now.
Tell you what, that guy is quicker than gossip, folks. Derrick Rose with the blow-by in the Windy City.
Well, he's playing fearlessly, too, which is exactly what you want to see.
Derrick Rose using this competition to get his game back in sync. The deep 3 good. And Brazil hanging around down by just 8. As Hetzmeyer has 10.
You know, I watched Spain the other night beat Angola, and you know, Pau Gasol can shoot that pick and pop 3 from there and shorter.
Meanwhile, Derrick Rose, watch this, refusing the ball screen. That explosiveness is back. And keep in mind, it was 2010. He used USA Basketball to springboard into an MVP season.
Be ironic if he uses 2014 to springboard into one. You look at that Chicago team this year, people are buzzing about Pau Gasol, Noah back, Jimmy Butler.
Told me yesterday at practice, and Mark, this is a brand new journey for me with this game tomorrow in Chicago. And his head coach, Tom Thibodeau, watching. Tibbs was all lathered up yesterday in practice, wasn't he? He's putting in his defensive schemes.
When is he not? Guys were looking at him, right? Did you see the look on the player's face when he was breaking down the defense?
He stared at DeMar DeRozan and said, come on, DeMar, you know this. Your Raptors run this play.
I think Tibbs is going to get a lot out of being around Coach K. And certainly he's going to make a contribution as well. Monty Williams as well.
8 on the shot clock for Barbosa. Rose dogging him defensively. That 3 no good. Verjao with the rebound. They'll pull it out and run another one. Here's Neto, the youngster.
He'll play this year in Murcia in the ACB.
Otherwise known as the best basketball in the league that isn't the NBA. And another 3 ball by Hetzmeyer. He has 13 in the game, and the lead down to 7.
He's one of those guys that's played in Europe, played in Spain, but he's back playing in the Brazilian National League right now.
Kyrie Irving now loses the handle. I heard a couple of guys say off the turnover that the NBA basketball or the FIBA basketball has a different feel. They like to say it's a little bit lighter.
It's terrible. No, it's a slippery ball, first of all. It's a terrible ball to shoot. They don't use that tacky type leather that we see in college and the NBA. It's a terrible ball to shoot.
Takes a little bit of getting used to, and right now a 7-point game with 2 minutes to go. Irving, Rose, Plumlee, Thompson, and Chandler Parsons checking into the ball game. Here is defending Hetzmeyer, who wheels on the baseline, nowhere to go. Here is defending Hetzmeyer, who wheels on the baseline, nowhere to go. And well defended by the United States. That's the 17th turnover for Brazil. Irving on the hesitation, great step through, and couldn't finish.
That would have been a good chance for a foul by Parsons there.
Verjao got caught in between steps, it looked like. And 1.5 to go. Both teams a little bit disjointed offensively. Parsons on the drive. That's going to be a whistle and a travel against the newest member of the Dallas Mavericks.
See, I think what you have right now, Team USA, push the ball, but don't play out of control. Right now you got guys trying to make the team, maybe trying to do a little too much. Chandler Parsons with that 3-year deal from the Mavericks. They're excited about him.
Parsons had his best year, averaging over 16 a game. Larry Taylor off the mark. And into the backcourt. As we approach 1 minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. The USA's first friendly, first tune-up on their road to Spain for the inaugural FIBA World Cup. Barbosa working against Thompson. 10 on the shot clock. Great move and a foul on Thompson.
You know what Barbosa does so well, Mark? He initiates contact, doesn't he?
Yep.
He's not trying to get by the defender. He's trying to get into the defender and cause some body contact. It's exactly what James Harden is so effective at.
Barbosa, a free agent right now. And,
can I call him Leandrino?
Leandrino. I'll tell you what, you go through that Brazilian media guide, and of the 4 names, you just got to pick out one. Knocks down the first, and let's take a look at the upcoming USA Basketball national team schedule. On August 18th, a couple days from now, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, Hoops for Troops at West Point. Fran, you'll be there. And then August 20th, the United States will take on the Dominican Republic. Orlando Antigua, I think, coaching them this year. And Puerto Rico will take on the United States after that on the 22nd. And then 2 o'clock, the USA will face Slovenia with Goran Dragic.
And his brother, Zoran Razumorbeck, formerly of Michigan State, longtime European player.
Fran, it's a 5-point game with under a minute to go here in the third quarter. At what point does Coach K now say, okay, it's DEFCON 4, it's serious, I'm going to go with, quote-unquote, my core guys? Probably. Or is it that point yet?
I'd say last 6 minutes of the game. They've got the lead right now, but these games, even though we count them as part of his record, 62-1, really doesn't mean anything. They want to win the game, but they're really searching to find combinations, and we talked about it all night. With no Kevin Durant in that lineup, an offensive juggernaut, trying to find guys who can score. I think they've been a little bit too impatient, but it's natural when you play the first game. This Brazilian team's been together for about 3 weeks.
It really underscores what a great job that Coach K has done in the past when you look at the fact that Spain, Brazil, a lot of the European powers, France, the European champs, they've been practicing for a long time now. And you think about the United States, Team USA, USA Basketball was in Vegas 2 weeks ago and still hasn't gotten down to their final 12.
There's nobody crying for us, okay? Because let me tell you something. We're the only team in the World Championships that will put 12 NBA players on the floor. Now, continuity is important. That gives teams like Lithuania, France, Spain, and Brazil maybe an advantage. But Coach K would rather have the talent he's going to put on the floor on August 30th. Right now, they are just a work in progress, Mark.
See what they do here in the last 50 seconds of the period. Rose working it up court against Neto. Want to give him a little bit of room. Irving on the crossover and gets the shot over his Cleveland Cavalier teammate Verjak.
Tell you that, you talk to the Cleveland guys, they're excited about Dion Waiters and Kyrie Irving playing with LeBron James and learning how to lead and become better players because of LeBron.
Of course, the worst kept secret right now in the NBA is that pending trade of Kevin Love from Minnesota to Cleveland. Can we even call it a secret anymore? 5 to go on the shot clock. Neto, tough shot over Kyrie Irving, tipped up and in by Garcia.
Yeah, he's a former NBA player.
4 seconds to go. Rose has got to get to work quickly, which he can do. Parsons for 3, and it rims out. So after 3 periods, the United States with a slim 5-point advantage with 10 minutes to go. Steph Curry doing his part offensively. And James Harden, you can always count on him for buckets. And Derrick Rose. Welcome back, everyone, to the United Center in Chicago. Back for the final 10 minutes. Brazil has outscored the United States 48-39 since being down by 14. Bob Holtzman joined by Tom Thibodeau just a few moments ago.
Tom, I saw you on the bench there in the third quarter shaking your head. It didn't look like you were happy with the defense. What did you see?
Well, we just got sloppy. You got to take care of the ball. We got to play better on both sides of the ball. We got to finish our defense.
I got to ask you about your day job, head coach of the Chicago Bulls. What's it like to see Derrick Rose on this floor playing like this?
Yeah, no, it's great. He's put a lot of work into his comeback. I think he's playing at a good pace. He's done a terrific job. I'm very happy to see it.
What's the key in the fourth quarter?
We just got to play. We got to be more solid. Be together. 5-man offense, 5-man defense. There's going to be some, things that don't go exactly like we planned, and we got to work through that.
Thanks, Tom.
Tibbs with that mid-season interview face form right now.
They playing the Cavaliers?
Yeah. Looked like a game in May with the look he had on his face. The
happy man, however, deep inside. He's got D Rose back. Good team, good bench, good depth. Bulls fans got to be excited. 2-3 zone right here by Brazil. Let's see if USA can move the ball. They're going to let Fareed shoot that foul line shot. I can tell you that.
7 on the shot clock. That's the guy you don't want to leave open. Thompson knocks down the 3.
When you play against the zone, if you're Team USA, you must be patient enough to not take the shot they want you to take. And in that case, good ball movement right there.
That's only their second 3-pointer of the ball game. Neto working against Irving. He's got to get busy with 5 on the shot clock. Ball screen from Varejao. Floater no good. Rebounded by Davis. And here's Irving in the open court and a foul on Neto, which is a good decision, preventing the fast break as Parsons gets set to check back into the ball game. What do you make of Chandler Parsons' chances of making this squad, Fran? I mean, a guy that at 6'9" brings you a bunch of different things, right?
Well, he is the classic stretch 4 man, and he hasn't really gotten into a rhythm yet. He's coming off a very good season in Houston, certainly, and I would give him more than a 50-50 chance because he can give you that 4th small player and stretch the defense with his shooting.
Got great chemistry with that guy, Harden, who missed the layup. Garcia on the move. Tipped up and out. Knocked loose. Davis crashes into the stands. Goes over the top. The ball still live. Davis okay. The 3 ball no good. Varejao missing the stick back.
Got to stop it. Stop the game right here.
And Anthony Davis careened and caromed 2 rows deep. Here's one more look at it. Neto and him going for the loose ball.
Look at the hustle. You think Coach K had his heart in his throat right there?
And that elicits the chant of USA.
Yep. Playing for your country. It's not the middle of the NBA season, but you see why Anthony Davis is enjoying an expanded role from the role in 2012.
Tell you what, he ran over NBA official Mark Davis, who's here in the front row as a spectator. The lob no good for Plumlee. Davis missed, but is fouled on the putback. And things getting a little bit turned up here with 8:16 to go in the 4th quarter. Davis checking to see what's left of that elbow. He might have lost a little bit of skin.
You think the Pelican front office had
Monty Williams started to sweat a little bit there on the bench.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Monty. Coach and Anthony Davis, they'll have a healthy team back this year. Drew Holiday, Ryan Anderson. I love Ashiq.
Tyreek Evans coming off the bench.
Yeah, yep. And Ashiq certainly joining them from.
That really frees up Davis to.
Yeah. He's not a center.
Yeah.
You think he's a center? I think he's a power forward.
Although, friend, you and I noticed when we were in Las Vegas for training camp that he got some bigger shoulders now. He's
right,
really filled out.
Which means now he's a power forward.
Okay. A late bloomer. Everybody knows the story. Skyrocketing from about 6'3.5" between his sophomore and junior years to about 6'8", 6'9". And he knocks down the free throw. The United States lead up to 10 now with 8:15 to go.
Anthony Davis is 21 years old, just to remind you.
Interesting, when Kevin Durant won his MVP, he texted Anthony Davis and said, "You're next. You're the next guy up." Taylor on the drive, blocked by Davis. That's what he gives you defensively.
Watch out.
It's a 3-on-1. Harden takes it all the way and one. And he gets an up-close look at the fans.
That's USA basketball. At least that's the recipe. Defending the rim by the rubber band man. Take a look at the drive. The elasticity. And then getting it out quickly. And getting it to guys like James Harden who know how to score, especially in the open court.
Fran, there's not another team. You can talk all you want about opponents, but there's not another team in the world that plays transition basketball as well as USA Basketball does.
Well,
correct?
there will not be. There will not be. Not at this level. You know, there's no question. This is the recipe.
And Bob Holzman has more on Anthony Davis. Bob? Off the turnover, Bob.
Bro, he told me every time that they've come here, he's been hurt. He did play in this building in the McDonald's All-American game, but he was really excited to get a chance to play here tonight.
Anthony Davis was on the other end of that. Hello, Chicago.
Hello, the world. Because that's what I think you're going to see in Spain.
Largest lead of the ball game now at 15 for the United States. And friend, we saw this earlier today. At some point, the dam breaks and the opponent starts leaking oil.
Well, and that's that depth, that's that speed we talked about. This is really the formula. Now, they're not going to play at breakneck speed all 40 minutes every night, but you got to have that 6-minute spurt, Mark, that can break a game like this open.
And a 10-0 run for the United States, and Coach K is incensed at something on the sidelines. Not crazy about that call as he looks down his bench and calls for Steph Curry. A 10-0 run in the last 2:45 as Irving comes out of the ball game. He had some nice moments. The former Duke Blue Devil, he was only there for
11 games.
11 games, but he parlayed that into something good, didn't he? I suppose so.
Breakdown, good execution.
Somebody hit the snooze bar, and at this time, friend, we would be negligent if we didn't say congratulations to Coach Showalter of USA Basketball and the Under-17 World FIBA champions, going undefeated.
And they won in Dubai.
Defeating Australia today in the final. Davis with another long jumper. He has 18 points in the game, and seemingly now, friend, maybe it was that dive into the stands, he looks ready to take on a real leadership role here.
Well, you know what? Effort is contagious, Mark. We know that. We've seen guys dive on the floor tonight. We saw Anthony Davis's hustle. Fareed got it started early. It's contagious.
There just turns it over, went right to Nene. 5 on the shot clock. Nowhere to go. He's got a jacked one. And great defense by the United States. They've hit the switch here. Harden with the move, and he's so good at extending his arms and drawing that foul.
He is old school right there. With the Smith brothers beard. He's so good at that, Mark.
Harden at 9 for 9 from the foul line tonight.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. Harden and Davis were bit players on the 2012 Olympic gold medal team, but not tonight.
AD getting his Chicago. United States leading by 15, its largest lead of the game, behind 18 points from Anthony Davis and 4 blocks. Hey, need USA Basketball updates at your fingertips? Download the USA Basketball app today for the latest news on the men's and women's national teams. Check out rosters, scores, and a lot more available at Google Play and at the Apple App Store. As James Harden will go to the free throw line. 6:16 to go, and talked about the fact that Don Showalter did a great job in getting those under-17 youngsters to win the gold and really buy into team.
Absolutely, and remember, these guys have played all summer on their AAU teams. They got together late, played the tournament in August because of Ramadan in Dubai. Malik Newman, the guy I work with at the Steph Curry Under Armour Select Camp, had an outstanding tournament. The scoring guard from Mississippi, happy for him.
You know, friend, I'm going to go in a bit of an iconoclastic view here. Everyone says that youth basketball in this country has all these ills and problems. They blame AAU for this and that and everything else. Yet USA Basketball, Nene with the layup, has the championship at every level. Under 17, under 19, at the senior men's level as well.
Yeah, and
it can't be all that bad.
Youth basketball is not perfect right now, but it is getting better because of the guys that have played USA Basketball, Mark, at the senior level. There's been a concerted effort really to grow the game from the youth level on up, and it is paying off. Now, you still see some bad basketball in the summer. We got so many guys representing their country now at every level. It's great to see.
Harden with a tough shot. Davis with the tip. Davis with the stick back. Relentless, indefatigable effort by Anthony Davis, now with 20 points in the game. And that cheer you hear, what else? Derrick Rose coming into the ball game. Barbosa tied up, and that's going to be a jump ball. Good defense from Thompson. And with 5:20 to go, here comes Derrick Rose.
That's been the highlight of the night for me, is to see Derrick Rose from start to finish feel the passion of this United Center crowd. There's not a statue out there just yet, Mark. There may be someday. Little zone here, maybe.
Different look for the United States. Garcia inside to Splitter.
Yep.
Good passing in the interior, and Davis called for the foul on Nene.
Well, it's only, you know, Jim Boeheim put the zone in a little bit in Vegas, a little bit this week. We watched him put it in. It's there, it's a weapon, but right now it's a hanging curveball. You know, they're trying to find that second pitch. It's not the Mariano Rivera splitter that Syracuse uses during the season, but it may come in handy. It might be 4 possessions in a gold medal game. Who knows?
Nene knocks down the first of 2. Nene back with the Brazilian national team for the first time in about 6 or 7 years. You know, Chicago and Washington played an exhibition game down in Brazil during the course of the season, actually, and the reception wasn't all warm and fuzzy for Nene because he hadn't been with the national team, but he's popular once again.
Anthony Davis got shaken up a little bit. I think he might have got hit a little bit below the belt. There's Klay Thompson.
And now the United States starting to knock down its 3-pointers. In a struggle from downtown tonight for them. Marcelinho to Splitter. A little bit too fancy, the ball knocked out of bounds. And Anthony Davis going to come out of the ball game.
Got the wind knocked out of him, right?
But he has really come on here in the second half. 20 points to go along with 7 rebounds at 21 years old. They're going to be counting on him a lot more. Someone hit the snooze bar on the inbounds defensively.
Second time. I think USA was in zone, but looked like maybe a couple guys thought they were zone, couple guys, man, there's some zone from Brazil now. See, that's just move the ball first. Just move the ball. You got 24 seconds.
Rose. Bree tried to keep it alive, and numbers coming back the other way for Brazil. Marquinhos with the jumper. Rose says that he's coming back a better jump shooter. Thompson missing the long ball. Fred, I saw you shaking your head a little bit on that Thompson 3. Why?
Well, because they can get that same shot, you know, later in the shot clock. Why not try to get the ball inside versus the zone, or at least inside back out? Now, you're talking about the best shooters in the world, but Klay Thompson can pass on that shot, get it back maybe 12 seconds later. Good time right now, Mark, up 17 to work on some zone offense, and that means better ball movement.
Plumlee at the free throw line.
Remember, you don't see much zone in the NBA, and you certainly don't see the kind of zone that these guys were used to playing against in college.
It's interesting, friend. You look at the various FIBA competitions going back to 2008, 2010, 2012, all gold medal performances by USA Basketball. I can't believe the number of teams that tried to actually play zone against the United States and watch the United States shoot some 50% from downtown.
Remember Nigeria? I think they made 29 threes in that game.
And 1 for Splitter, as he will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, this is a good play right here. Good drive into the lane. Watch Barbosa draws Plumlee. And then Splitter, who has more of an active role offensively on this team for obvious reasons than he does in San Antonio. Mark, he had a really good career in Spain. And it's interesting, when he came to the Spurs, the one thing he had to figure out was pop.
Right.
And you know what, Manu Ginobili was great about that with Splitter, because Manu had played with all those Argentines, Nocioni and Prigioni. Harden knocks it down, but how about this? All those Argentine guys played with Splitter in Spain. And so Manu took him under his wing, and obviously he's turned out to be a very good NBA player.
Huertas with the floater. You know, Fran, you saw Plumlee watch that thing come off the rim. Still hasn't become instinctive yet, right?
Maybe for him
to knock it off.
Yep. Remember how good Tyson Chandler got at that, right? And how good some of these guys who have played FIBA rules have gotten at that.
Back in 2010 or 12, right?
Yep.
3:21 to go in the fourth quarter. A 20-point lead for the United States, really breaking this game wide open. Towards the end of the third quarter, Rose probing the lane inside. Fareed rejected by Nene. Here's Barbosa from downtown. Remember, the United States will play in what is perceived as one of the more forgiving groups from a competition standpoint. Thompson can't find it tonight. Fareed can inside. Boy, he has been one of the most valuable players tonight. Foul called.
Listen, you can't be all finesse. You got to have some toughness as well. That's what he brings you.
Folks, don't forget ESPN bringing you coverage of USA Basketball's practice live from West Point. In amongst the cadets, Monday at 2 on ESPN2. Frank, you're going to be in amongst the soldiers doing your thing up there,
First day of classes at the West Point Military Academy. I'm going to be staying at the Hotel Thayer right on campus.
You're not sleeping in the barracks with the guys?
No, I'm not.
Come on,
I will be on the campus.
Got to be all in, man. Off the turnover, Plumlee.
Yep, no beast. What do they call that summer training? Beast barracks? None of that for me.
Rose on the drive. Couldn't find the handle, out of bounds, and it looked like it went off a Brazilian player. It's going to be Brazil basketball.
Coach K played at West Point in the late 60s. Played for Bobby Knight. Yep. Came back to West Point as the head coach.
Coach K has always involved a military theme and presence as Barbosa knocks down the mid-range jumper and used it as a galvanizing force for this team going back to the time that he took over in 2006.
Ball movement right now. Swing it side to side. Attack through the middle.
Irving.
Right now we're just playing summer ball, which I guess is kind of apt, right?
Yeah.
It's
Irving.
mid-August.
Irving kind of clapped his hands and said, "My bad." 2:03 to go, but remember, after this they'll go to West Point and get ready for games in New York against the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Plumlee at the free throw line.
His older brother Miles has turned out to be a solid contributor in Phoenix, and both of these guys played for Coach K.
And they're going to bring all bigs, Fran, we are told, to New York before they make any cuts in terms of the bigs. Specifically, DeMarcus Cousins, if you're just joining us, did not play this evening because of a knee injury he suffered in practice a couple of days ago. And he's a 23-12 guy this year for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, I'd like to see DeMarcus get a chance in New York and show what he can do. Good hustle again by Plumlee.
Ball knocked out of bounds off of Splitter. Time out on the floor as Rudy Gay gets ready to check in, and his teammate with the Kings, Cousins.
ESPN's presentation of USA Basketball is presented by Nike KD7, the baddest, and in part by the Jeep Altitude Edition lineup, the official vehicles.
Welcome back, everyone, to USA Basketball presented by Nike. As we take a look at some of the cogent numbers from tonight, Anthony Davis with 20 and 7, James Harden with 18 and 4, and really doing a great job getting to the free throw line. And it's time for tonight's Game Track, brought to you by Jeep. And Fran Fraschilla, second half has really been a different story, and Anthony Davis, the catalyst with his effort.
You did say his effort was assiduous, right? And I think you were right on the money, although I have to look that up afterwards. But you know what? Love his effort, showing you the complete package. A lot of people don't realize how much his offensive game has developed in his first 2 years in the league, but they know he can do this around the rim.
You know, Monty Williams, his head coach in New Orleans, told me that at times this year he had to stop Anthony from being so hard on himself. Say, hey, this is the NBA. You're not going to be 20 and 10 every night. Well, funny as it happened, he was 20 and 20 every night.
As a 21-year-old.
There's Thompson out top. A pick and roll with Plumlee. Thompson Tough pass inside off the turnover with 1:27 to go. 95-74. Much like the game a couple of years ago, the game was in question maybe for what, the first 2 quarters and a half?
Yep. And that was a game that Brazil led for much of that game, first half particularly. Marquinhos.
And nice feed inside. That's going to be goaltending on Plumlee.
Now you wonder if you're trying to figure out FIBA rules. It's the same rule. You can't hit that ball on the way up, or at least on the way down before it hits the rim. But hit the backboard, you got to leave it alone. If it was on the rim, he could have knocked it off.
Plumlee lost the handle.
Good look. Good
Barbosa, tough shot. And Gay with the rebound. Under a minute to go now. Every time Derrick Rose touches the ball, the crowd here kind of gets on the edge of their seats. And they sit down when he passes it to a teammate.
Exactly.
Thompson double teamed.
No, that's just sloppy play. Last 3 USA possessions have been empty.
Huertas, nobody to give it to, so decides to bank it home.
He plays for Barcelona. He's got 1 more year on his deal. He told me yesterday he'd like to get a chance to be a player in this league. He's good enough, maybe as a backup.
Fittingly, Derrick Rose here with time winding down. Homecoming game for D. Rose. 7 points. And still getting back into the flow. I have a feeling before this World Cup of basketball journey is all said and done that his game will reemerge in a big way, Fran.
Well, and we said at the top, right? Anthony Davis, Derrick Rose have a chance to really put their mark on this team. We saw that tonight.
And that's it. 40 minutes in the books, and the USA with its first friendly coming to an end. Victors 95-78. Anthony Davis with 20 points and a homecoming for him. Local Chicago guy, and James Harden chipping in with 18 points. Don't forget to join us August 22nd as United States takes on Puerto Rico. Coach K will go back and figure things out, and they still have 4 cuts to make sometime in the not too distant future. Coming up next at SportsCenter. And it's been a night where the USA showed its true colors in the end. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Fran Fraschilla and